All right.
All right. Well, welcome to week 10. Um, we had a winning week last week, went 3-2. Um, improved to 21, 23, and 1 overall. Started off the week, it was not good, not good. Lost our first two. Um, Lost the early game on Sunday, the international game in Germany with the Dolphins. Um, we were in that game the whole time. Kieran, that was your pick, right?
Yeah.
In it the whole time. Dolphins were driving at the end there. Felt like they were always just on the cusp. And then I don't know, man, that final 4 down sequence was just, I mean, Tua made some awful throws, and then you get to 4th down, and they just completely botched the snap. Don't even get a playoff. I mean, it was so disheartening. Because it felt like they were moving, it felt like they had momentum building. And it just, I mean, yeah, like I said, it felt like we're in that game, and I felt we were going to win that game the whole time. I really did. So that was a really tough one to swallow.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like, a lot of times in a basketball game where the underdog's kind of punching up all game and they always keep it close.
Yep.
But every time that they go on that run, like maybe they're down like 13 points, they go on a run to make it a 4 point game. The
Yep.
the other team always like responds with like a couple baskets like right away, and it's like, all right, yeah, like you're kind of there's kind of a buffer like right there. That's kind of how it felt with the Dolphins. Like they were always
Yeah.
playing from behind, and every
Yep.
time that it felt like they had an opportunity to kind of go for it and take the lead and get that game back, they just fucked it up. I mean, the Tyreek fumble was brutal.
Yep.
Um,
They played really good defense on the day, which was
yeah,
the
I
most,
mean,
which was the worst part of it all. They played
yeah.
really good defense.
Yeah.
They just
Yeah, it's
could
it's
never
not just the
string
fact that
together.
Tyreek fumbled that ball either. Like it's one thing for him to fumble it and then it's kind of like they just get it right at that spot or something. But for that to just turn into, I don't even know if it's considered like a scoop and score. I don't even know if it really hit the ground. But I mean, for
Were
him to
they
just
in the
grab that, run
Chiefs?
it down the sideline and score it, I mean, that just felt like a killer.
Yeah. Were they in the Chiefs? Like they were in Chiefs territory too,
They're at the
right?
30.
But
Chiefs 30.
yeah, like that was just like they were like on their way to at least a field goal or
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that's just one of those
score,
things.
most
Like that's
likely
the
a
game right
score.
there.
So,
Like that's really what you can point to. I mean, if that
right.
just goes any other direction, if the Chiefs get the ball there and they have to go on a drive, who knows? What that turns into, if that even turns into any
I
points
think
at
it
all. So
would have been 14-10 if they just theoretically kicked the field goal
yeah.
that drive.
Well, it would have
You know,
been if they kicked they were down 14-0. But
14-0.
but even so, I mean, you give up a touchdown there, and now you're down 21-0. They go 3-and-out, and then the Chiefs take a knee and they go into the half with a 21-0 lead. I mean, that's a
Right.
huge. But it was again, like, they come back, scored twice, get right back in it. I mean, that they had that huge sequence where they score, cause the fumble, get the ball back, get within a score. But yeah, it just man, that was brutal. And then he had my pick. Bad pick, very, 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 very bad pick. With the Seahawks +6. I think we probably just learned the Seahawks are not actually maybe a good football team. The Ravens seem to have that tendency. They beat the shit out of bad, not as good teams. And that man, that was brutal. They were just never in it. So that was tough. So we were down 0-2 early. And then Bowen, I think you had like the mortal lock of the week. I'm pretty sure the Raiders -2 were probably on everybody's board.
Had to be, yeah. It was just like
And
I had to have him.
and it went exactly how we expected it would. It was great, just a great win. Came at the right time for us. We needed it. Got us to 1-2 going into Sunday Night Football. And then the Bengals. I mean, we're on a roll here with Sunday night. 4 in a row now. 4-5 overall. But the Bengals -1.5 took care of business against the Bills. Got us back to even, and then we go into Monday night with momentum. And get another huge win on Monday night. Chargers -3.5. The weird, little bit of a weird, like, weird game because it felt like the Chargers were in control the whole night.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel like they really put it away until late. Like there was a point there later in the game where I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, hold on a minute here. Like, I don't think we're totally in the clear. And then, they ended up putting it away. I was, it was interesting. I didn't feel like their offense did a whole lot, but I mean, the defense did exactly what it needed to do. That Jets offense couldn't get anything going. Again, they just pulled away there in the fourth quarter and, shut the door. But a big win. Great to get another winning week. We sit here again. We're like, man, we go 4-1 this week, and we're over 500. So we continue to like kind of hover around that line, which it's a good spot to be. But this is that time of the season. We got to put a foot in the ground and go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling good about it. I mean, we're continuing to just stack good weeks, positive weeks on top of each other. So I think it's only a matter of time. I mean, we had our bad weeks. We had our really bad weeks at the start. So it's only a matter of time before water finds its level, and we're due for a 4-1, a 5-0. So even if it's not this week, as long as we can continue to just chug along, get those 3-2s, and just chip away at it, that's all we can ask for now. But I think we're gonna have our moment at some point.
Yep. All right. Let's what do you think? Head to the wheel?
Yeah, Hurst just got his first catch.
Nice.
He's on the board.
Nice.
I was saying, Kieran, I was saying to I said to Bowen before you joined, like I feel bad. I hope like this doesn't impact your relationship with Rico.
That's no offense. That's kind of a loser mindset. I mean, you win some, you lose some. I've given him some great picks. Give him Eckler.
I just,
No, I give him a 5. That's a 5-1 anytime score. What do you want me to say?
No. I'm not. It's not a knock on you at all. It's I say this in support of you because I feel like you've finally really gotten in the door. Now he's like seeking out the picks, and I just I feel like Bryce Young and Hayden Hurst. I feel like they're really doing you dirty.
No, I mean that wasn't even really that wasn't necessarily even on my board. He asked for an anytime score. I liked Hayden Hurst, 2.5 receptions, 16.5 yards. He's about halfway there now. I didn't expect the high volume game from the guy. What?
He just dropped one that would have really helped those numbers.
Yeah, exactly. Like I didn't expect like a huge game from the guy. I gave him to a 5-1 pick.
Yeah, it's just you don't want to be.
If I thought like you're proposing right now, that would damage the relationship, because then I'd start picking scared. I'd be giving them basic picks that still don't hit.
Yeah. No, I hear it. I hear it. All right, let's go to the wheel.
All right.
Damn, the wheel looks good. It's a strong wheel. Is that me?
Yeah, it's you.
Oh, my feet just lapped really hard. All right, start it up. Lions -3. I was telling Tristan before. This is probably one of the stronger feels I've had on the game, which usually doesn't go well. But I got to take it. It's been on my mind all week. Coming off a bye. I don't think the Chargers, like we were just saying, necessarily look good on offense. I know the Jets defense is very, very talented. But I think there might still be a little bit lacking. Kind of relying on Eckler and Keenan Allen a lot to just make really good individual plays. Herbert threw for under 200 yards last week. I don't think there's much home field advantage with the Lions going there. There's probably going to be more Lions fans there than Chargers fans in LA. Lions fans travel really well, so I don't think that really should affect the spread at all. I think it did. I think it should be a little bit higher of a number than that 3. So, Lions -3 at Chargers. That's the pick.
Kieran?
That was my number 1 pick as well. This could be, a public Joe pick. Wouldn't shock me. I think right now the Lions are, maybe 80%, maybe even more, at least on Action Network. So that's always worrisome. But I do like them coming out of the bye week. They went into the bye week with that bad loss. They weren't playing great football. They got blown out by the Ravens. So they were hurting a little bit going into it, but I like them coming out of it. And I think this is a good matchup for them. This is kind of like something that we've leaned on in the past, Tristan, where teams that can run the ball and then hit timely deep shots have a lot of success against the Chargers. And that is exactly what the Lions are. They're getting David Montgomery back. They're going to be able to run that ground and pound, and they have Jahmyr Gibbs, who's starting to break out, and he can make a bunch of chunk plays. But then they also have good deep weapons. They have Josh Reynolds, who's been having success downfield. I think Khalif Raymond's have been having success downfield. We haven't seen it from Jameson Williams yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if he were to have a breakout game. It would be a matchup like this where we see time and time again the Chargers. They did it last week. They would just slip up. They're overall a pretty good defense, but they slip up and they allow those chunk plays. That's where Jameson Williams can start to succeed. And coming out of the bye week, especially with how his season started with the suspension getting cut short, maybe him not being ready for that week 4 when he was mentally prepared for week 6 for how long, right? So I think coming out of the bye week would be a good opportunity for him to try and break out as well. But it's a good matchup for the Lions. And Goff, he does struggle on the road, but he's going back to SoFi. That's where he played. He played decent football for the Rams there. So, Andy's playing inside. Even if he's not great on the road, he's still good in dome. So, I think it's a great matchup for them.
I also have the Lions as my number 1 pick on the board.
No shit.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I
three of us, the three of us, it's concerning.
Look, it is what it is. Like, there's also an element to this where I'm like, the fact that all 3 of us found this one game as our number 1 pick, like
it jumped off the page.
Yeah, you gotta go with it. I think for all the reasons you guys said, like them coming off the long rest, they're healthier. They had some injury stuff. Obviously, get Montgomery back. It will be interesting to see how they kind of, how Montgomery kind of works back in with Gibbs breaking out. I think, Sun God, he was banged up. Good for him to get some extra rest.
They also got 2 offensive linemen back, 2 starting offensive linemen back off the bye week as well. Can only help.
Goff on extended rest, 14, 11, and 2 against the spread. So he's, in positive territory. That doesn't include week 1. I think it was interesting, like Jaguar for this week, the Jaguars and Lions, both teams coming off long rest, they tend to win. Win percentage of 75% or more coming off a bye. Kieran, you called it. I had this in my notes, not concerned about it being a road game for Goff since he, played a whole season at SoFi as the starter for the Rams. And, I said this earlier, Zach, you and I were talking about it. Like, I still feel like that Chargers offense, like they're just not clicking. Like there's something still off. Yeah, they scored 27 against the Jets, but like 7 of that came on a punt return. They had a couple field goals. They were taking advantage of turnovers in field position. Like it's not the offense that's getting them to that, So I like the Lions here. I think it's a good spot for them. They're indoors. I think it'll allow them to take advantage of where their strengths lie. So I love the pick.
Fuck yeah.
All right. Cool. Lions -3. Back to the wheel.
Bryce Young is fucking awful, by the way.
Terrible.
Hayden Hurst had so much green grass around him. He just underthrew him. He's terrible. He's terrible. Yes. Hurst has two catches, 14 yards. Hurst has gone over his receiving yard total, for the record.
Oh, has he? What was the total?
13 and a half.
Oh, no shit.
He got 14 yards now. He's got 2 catches on this drive for 14 yards. Those are the picks I gave Rico. He had 15 minutes to go before healthy debate. He just said, I need a touchdown score. Gave him some value.
Prop. You gave him the prop too, right?
Well, yeah, because I had first sent him. He can be very erratic with the messaging. So I sent him like my breakdown, like the breakdowns that I typically send you guys. I typically just send like the same thing. And then I sent him like the pictures of my note cards and everything. And I gave him the 3 picks. I gave him Bryce Young over the 215. Then I did Hurst and his receptions and his receiving yards, and then I just threw in the Hurst anytime to score, just because I mean they've allowed touchdown 4 out of 9 games. All right, let's go back to it. All right.
Oh shit.
Tough. So I really like the Lions. They were like my number one. And then I had like the 2 through 5, and like they were kind of interchangeable. I was kind of looking at them and I was messing around, but I think I'm gonna go with the Titans +1.
Ooh.
So I'm gonna ride with my guy Will Levis. I love him. I think for him, he's the type of guy like he won the job. He won the job outright. It's no longer Tannehill's injured. Is he gonna still have the job when he comes back? Tannehill's back. He's officially the backup. And I think that Levis is the type of guy that takes that and he runs with it. He's the guy. I love the vibes. I love his energy that he has with it. I was reading an article about how it like his upbringing and his kind of the pedigree that he comes from. His grandfather was like the last what was his Zach? I sent that to the group chat. He was like the last 3 sport letterman at UMass Amherst. He comes from like a football family, and he's just like he's a beast. And I think he's gonna come in. He's gonna start slinging it. It's his team. The Bucs, they just got lit up by CJ Stroud. I think that Levis is a guy that can come in and do the exact same thing. I mean, Stroud wasn't a guy that I was huge on coming into the league, but one thing that I keep remembering from the draft process, and I look back and I was like, that's when I should have just gone against my gut and like flipped my perception. The Panthers just missed the game tying field goal. But that's when I should have flipped my perception, because one thing that really stood out to me at the combine was Levis and Stroud's throwing drills, where they were like machines. Like they were just clearly 2 kids that went to QB camps their whole life growing up. Like they just have like the perfect mechanics behind everything. And I think that Will Levis can come in and play the same type of football. And to me, I think the Bucs are just dead. They had a running back hit a clutch field goal against them last week. They got absolutely lit up by a rookie quarterback, by a team that was not expecting to be that competitive this year. I think the Bucs are dead. I think that the Titans can come in. I think that they're getting the vibes. They're trending in the right direction. And I think they can come in and get that win.
Owen, any thoughts?
Yeah, I didn't really put too much thought into this game. I kind of looked at it, went a different direction. So I don't have much. I mean, I like the way the Titans are trending. They have some elite guys. If Will Levis can just get the ball in those guys' hands, and it seems like he's capable of doing that. I like them against really any team, any week. They seem like they're just going to be a real team you don't want to see down the stretch the rest of the season. Like maybe not a playoff team necessarily, but if they string together, like KB, I know you always say that they get hot right around this time of the year every year and rip off some games for like a month or so. Just really under Vrabel. So I like to pick the Bucs. Baker, they all stink. Todd Bowles is bottom tier, just I think human in the NFL / coach. That was mean. I don't even know Todd. I don't know Todd Bowles like that. I really. He just he's
great family man. Great family man.
He seems meek. He seems meek.
You say that with like Deshaun Watson's in the league.
Bottom tier. No, he's probably a great guy, but just coaching style, I just don't rock with him. So I stand by what I said. Terrible guy. So yeah, KB like to pick.
Cool.
All right, back to
it.
I'll say real quick. I didn't have this game on my board. When I looked at the game, Will Levis popped in my head. I thought of you, Kiernan. I thought about the fact that he's won the job, the confidence that gives him as an NFL quarterback, as a player. Didn't necessarily have enough confidence in the pick to put it in my top 3, but I love the rationale. I had a very similar reaction, so I'm with you.
And I'll do a mayo coffee if I have to. If I got to get up early, get a nice mayo coffee in me just to set the vibes, then I'll go right ahead.
I mean, maybe we all do.
Yeah.
I
tell you, it's really.
I hate mayo, but I'd suck one down for you.
Especially if you put the lid on, you don't even know what's in there.
Might have to be we might have to do an emergency Zoom on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Or they do a mayo coffee and
I do a little mayo.
Set
I
the,
do a little
set the
mayo
vibes,
too.
set the vibes for the day.
Yep, exactly.
All right, let's get back to the wheel.
Damn the Bears.
All right.
They stink.
Believe that's me.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. It's a big number, but I'm going Cowboys minus 16
Yeah.
half over the Giants. Giants don't have a starting QB. You know, Dallas smoked them in week 1, and they had their guy under center. It's back-to-back road games for the Giants. It's another tough week. They're in a tough stretch. They've got another road game next week, so like they're in the middle of it. Cowboys have been great at home. They're covered in all 3 spots. They've been blowouts in all 3 spots. They've also got a really nice stretch ahead for them. You know, it's like this is kind of that soft spot in the schedule where I think they can really set themselves up where obviously, they need to stay close to Philly. But really put themselves in position for, a higher seed. I just see the Dallas defense really feasting, creating turnovers, strong field position. I actually don't think the offense is going to need to like do that much. I really see this as kind of a relatively stress-free win. And again, I think the fact that they've played subpar teams at home and they've beaten the absolute bag out of all 3 of them. This is another spot like that for me. So I again, it's a big number, but I feel like they can cover it.
Yeah, they were in my top 3. Like you said, the number's huge, but Tommy DeVito, I believe. I don't think they've brought anybody else in. So
They
it's
signed Matt
tough.
Barkley, but like,
Is he gonna play? When was the last time has he been around?
I think they're signing him to get him like starting to get some reps to like maybe play next week. I mean, this is like
Right.
we can't continue to put this out there week after week. They know Daniel Jones is out. I don't know when Tyrod Taylor can come back. So this is like
they're talking like he's not gonna come back the rest of the season, Tyrod.
I think he's done.
I don't think he's coming back. So
why would you bring him back?
Right. Yeah. So yeah, KB, what do you think?
I'll be honest, I don't love the pick. I don't know. I don't think I put them into my top 5, but I would be on the Giant side here. I think it's valid what you're saying, right? The Dallas has a good defense. They can create a lot of turnovers. I don't think that the Giants are going to throw enough to have these turnovers before. So I think they're just going to run it a bunch, give Saquon another 30 carries and just do a lot of screen passes, things like that. I think it's just going to be a really low scoring game. And in that case, a whole 17-point win is just, it's scary to me.
Micah Parsons might literally rip Tommy DeVito in half. And for 7 points, like scoop and score, rip a guy in half.
I mean,
then you need another. Then you need another 10.
Yeah,
No,
but I mean, the thing is like Dallas can anticipate that, and like New York's still going to find themselves in probably find themselves in third and long situations where they have to throw it. I mean, it's like even if they keep trying to run it, at some point they got to throw the ball, and like he's clearly shown like he can't be an NFL quarterback. He just can't. So yeah, it's fair. I mean, I know it's a big number, but looking at what they've done at home in these types of spots, it just seemed like a game to me. Like this is an incredibly superior opponent going up against a team that they don't even know what to do with themselves.
Yeah.
So I was willing to lay the number on this pick.
Yeah. Hey, your pick.
Well, Bowen, I appreciate the support.
Of course, always.
Yeah.
All right. Sunday Night Football.
Let's do it.
All right. Bowen leads off again.
Jesus.
A lot of wheel love.
Guy's on fire with the wheel.
Yeah. So it's Raiders Jets. I think Antonio Pierce has one more week where he can inspire the guys. I don't think Devontae's had that game yet that he will have. Eventually, I think at some point they're gonna have to just give him like 25 targets. Could be this week. Tough matchup against the Jets defense, but give me the Raiders to win. It's a pick 'em right on Circa, so it's just
Yeah.
To pick them.
yeah. So yeah, give me the Raiders. I don't. It's gonna be another gross one. But yeah, Raiders.
You want to go, Ken?
Yeah, I mean, I'm also on the Raiders right now. It really is a bit of a coin flip to me because I do get a little bit worried. I mean, I wonder how legit the interim bump is, right? Does Antonio Pierce actually have another week? Does he have the rest
It's
of the
such a fine
season?
line.
Does he
It's
just
such a
have like the
fine
juice to be a good coach?
Yeah.
And then I also worry, the Jets, they are coming off a tough primetime loss. The defense didn't play poorly, though. It was really just the special teams that was really holding it down for the Chargers. Um, Zach Wilson's not playing good football. He can't hold on to the ball. Like he's just fumbling the ball in the backfield. I do think though that the Raiders defense, I think that D line, Max Crosby, I think they can play a pretty similar game to how the Chargers defense played. I think that they'll be able to disrupt them in the backfield. That's when Zach Wilson gets really flustered. It's when he escapes the pocket. He just makes stupid throws because he has to start thinking on his feet. So, it's tough. I don't love either side. I think either way, you're kind of, pinching your nose and just dealing with the stink. But I think I'm going to keep riding the Raiders here.
Yeah, I had the Raiders as well. I was flip flopping over the pick a little bit because I continue to just, the Jets have a great defense. Continue to think about the fact that the Aaron Rodgers return is looming. Does that inspire that locker room enough to kind of hang in there and keep them in the mix until he can't get back? But at the end of the day, like where I just came back to is like, I mean, you think about like the state of that locker room after they won last week for the Raiders, and I think Bone, as you said it, like, I think they've got at least another week of that. They're hungry, they're fired up. They got to, I mean, both teams are in a bit of a must win. Like they got to win this game. But the Jets allowed 8 sacks last week versus the Chargers. The Raiders have been really, really good at putting pressure on the quarterback. Crosby's been, I mean, phenomenal. I think he leads the league in quarterback pressures. I don't know if he leads the league in sacks, but I mean, he's been unbelievable. So, I just feel like this is another great opportunity for that Raiders D line. I think they can really feast on Wilson. And Jets are back on the road. Raiders are well rested. It's their second straight home game. So I like them in a pick 'em. I think they can they'll do enough on the ground, control the game on the ground, get to the quarterback enough that they can pull out the win. So I like the Raiders.
Yeah, and I think honestly, when you're comparing the quarterbacks, obviously it's not an exciting quarterback battle between Zach Wilson and Aiden O'Connell, but Aiden O'Connell is really just like a bit of a like steady Eddie. Like he just stands back there. He really is not flustered by pressure. He's able to stand in there, and he still makes some rookie mistakes where maybe they're not drastic turnovers, but he's able. Maybe he's missing a throw or he's too locked in on a read. But I trust him a lot more than Zach Wilson. I mean, Zach Wilson, he sounds maybe a little more mature. He's commanding the offense at the line, but like they're still absolute dog shit. They can't move the ball. He can't hold on to it. So, maybe he's learning that stuff, but it doesn't seem like he's really good at applying it. And I do think he's going to be running around quite a bit against that Raiders pass rush. And
I think
we've seen the Raiders a couple times just because we've bet on them a couple times. Like I forget what game it was a couple weeks ago, but it's like the defense kept playing with their backs up against the goal line because they just kept getting placed there by Garoppolo, and they were holding it down and they were making the team work to get into the end zone, making the team work to still just walk away with 3 points. So that's a good defense. I think. What's that?
Yeah, I think that was against the Lions.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, we didn't win. We didn't get that cover, but like we were in it till the bitter
Yeah,
end.
it was not the
That was
defense.
the Devontae game,
Yep.
right? Where if Jimmy just hit him twice
Yeah,
or once.
yeah, it was just
they
like
covered
it
that
was
number.
Garoppolo just kept missing throws, and then he would turn the ball over, and they would just
Well, that's
Lions would pick it up in plus territory.
That's the other thing too. I mean, the big difference between Aiden O'Connell and Zach Wilson in this game too is that Aiden O'Connell's got Devontae Adams. Like he's like I know the Jets secondary is very, very good, but like he's got a guy that can step up and like he can feed and he can rely on to make plays. So if he gets in trouble, like he's got a guy who's been doing that for years, and
Yeah.
I mean there's a lot of talent, in that wide receiver core for the Jets, but they don't have a Devontae Adams,
It really isn't. They got Garrett Wilson, and then what?
That's fair.
I think it was I saying that last week too? I mean, they were fucking talking about it. Like, do the Jets have one of the best receiving cores? It's like they got Allen.
Yeah, I mean, I think when Rodgers was the starter, because didn't they have Cobb or something? It was have Cobb, but that's
like a healthy.
That's the last time Randall Cobb's caught a pass.
They have Lazard, but those are Rodgers guys. But those are Rodgers guys, right? So I think when Rodgers,
but I mean, when you're talking about a league that has, I don't know, like Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Evans and Godwin, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, you're gonna put Alan Lazard up there as a number 2, and Garrett Wilson's not even in the top 10 or top 5.
Yeah.
Huh?
No, I agree with you, but I think it looks a lot better when Rodgers is the quarterback because he's familiar with those guys. Not saying that they're a top 3 or a top 5, but it definitely looks a lot better when he's there, Yeah,
so. I guess to some, but
yeah. All right, so we're going Raiders.
Yeah. Kristen.
Oh, all right. All right, so the Monday night game is it's the Bills and the Broncos. Bills are 7-point favorites. This is just it's a bit of a gut feel for me. I'm taking the Bills -7. I think given how Buffalo's played, the Broncos are coming off the Chiefs win. I can see where it might be easy to Broncos got momentum, but Broncos are also coming off a bye. So you get the Chiefs win, but then you got to sit on that for a couple weeks. And I feel like you can lose some momentum with that. I feel like maybe that's worn off. And when you look at the Bills schedule and what they got coming up, they got to make a statement. They're 5-4. They've got a treacherous schedule coming up. And I feel like at home on Monday night, if there's a spot with they're going to step up and they're going to make a statement, to me, this has to be it. They get the Jets next week, which, it's the Jets, but the Jets historically have had Josh Allen's number. They beat him on opening night and it was it's something too. When we looked at the historical data, they've had his number. Then they got to play the Eagles and they get the Chiefs and they get the Cowboys and they get the Chargers. And they got to play the Pats again, who beat them earlier this year. And then they got to play the Dolphins. So this is a must-win spot. They've also been alternating wins over the last, 5-6 weeks or so. But I just feel like I actually like them catching the Broncos coming off the bye. So it's a little, kind of against, maybe tradition there in terms of you typically like teams coming off the bye. But I actually like them in this spot. I'm taking the Bills -7.
I'm with you on it. Pretty much all the same things that you said. I think that if the Bills have any chance this season, they need to show some life on Monday night. And if they don't, then I think that is just a bad sign for how things are going to play out, especially because they do not really, I don't know if they're the division leaders right now. I know that the Jets had a chance to take that lead if they won the game last week. So, it's very much up in the air. And then they don't have the record to just be like, oh yeah, but even if they don't win the division, they're going to be in the wild card, especially because of the teams that they're playing that you're coming up, like you were saying. But yeah, the Broncos are working on a winning streak. They've won 2 in a row. I just don't know if they're the type of team that goes on and wins 3 in a row. I just don't see that happening. I think that this is one where you look at it and you think, everything kind of screams the Broncos. I think it's going to be a blowout for the Bills.
It almost it has to be a blowout for the Bills. The only thing my lean was Bills as well. Tough to really ever back the Broncos. And especially they don't feel like a team that really ever like if their offense isn't moving the ball, if they're not going to cover back door or string together drives at the end of the game. If they don't have it, they don't have it. I know the Bills' defense has been a little shaky recently because of all the injuries, but the only real red flag for me was a tweet actually I saw today regarding the Bills offensive state. I guess of all people on that offense in that locker room, Latavius Murray was the one who called a like a player or like an offense only meeting to discuss what's going on within whatever they're doing wrong or just to talk it through. And that made me nervous. I don't know if Josh Allen is the leader in the locker room. It makes me a little nervous for the Bills' outlook the rest of the year. He should be the guy calling that meeting, or one of the players that actually like plays on the offense. The vibes feel really, really off with the Bills. Diggs, I think we've talked about
Diggs ain't calling that meeting.
No, like I think he hates everybody there. I think he hates Josh Allen. I don't know if there's
Buffalo.
I think I think it's a little bit of a fraud feel on that offensive side. And when Latavius Murray of all fucking people calls a team meeting, you gotta be worried. Because that's like really just the last guy who should be doing that. So
Well, say he's a 10-year vet, so just to give him some respect, there is some.
I know it was supposed to be playful and light. I don't know something. My overarching point of all that was just the vibes are really, really weird with that offense. I still think they're capable of beating the Bills and covering that 7, or Broncos. Sorry, but I mean covering that 7. But yeah, that was my only thing. I saw it quick on Twitter today. Just had to bring it up.
Thanks for injecting negative vibes into the pick.
Yes.
I will say one thing too, though, like the Bills' defense, what's kind of been chewing them up has been tight ends, right? So, I'm even looking like last week, and I remember I was looking, and that was part of kind of my analysis for the game when I'm looking at all the positions and stuff. But what am I going to do? I'm not going to bet on like Irv Smith Jr. or anything like that. So I kind of passed on it. Irv Smith got a touchdown, and then they had another tight end, Tanner Hudson. He had 4 catches for 45 yards. What?
He was the first touchdown scorer.
Yeah. And then Tanner Hudson, who I've never even heard of, he had 4 catches for 45 yards. So tight ends are crushing him. And that's because, Matt Milano's down. I know they have another linebacker down as well. The Broncos, they don't use tight ends at all. They have Adam Troutman. And then Greg Dulcich, he's not back yet. He's dealing with a hamstring injury. He's not going to be back this week. So they don't really have
Albert O?
What?
Albert O?
No, he's on the Eagles.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
So it's like that. Like I just don't think it's a good offensive matchup either. Like I don't think that the Broncos can really play it over the middle, and that kind of seems to be the recipe for success against the Bills. So I think that that's a plus in their favor as well. And then I think if anything, it's really just kind of betting on the Bills to show us something. If they don't, then maybe that's just a sign that we know how to approach them moving forward for the rest of the season, especially in these tough games coming up. But I don't know. I just, I see the argument for thinking that maybe the +7s or the -7's a trap on, a team that maybe the public still thinks is better than they are. But, I do think this is going to go in the other way. I think that the Bills are going to blow them out.
All right. Bills it is. All right. So just to recap, Bowen, we got you on the Lions -3. That was a consensus number 1 pick. Kiernan, Titans getting 1. My pick was the Cowboys laying 16.5. We got the Raiders as a pick 'em, and then we got the Bills on Monday night -7.
So we need 4 and 1 to be over 500.
4 and 1.
Yeah, 4 and 1. If we get 3 and 2, then we're just gonna keep chipping away. I mean, I guess if we got 3 and 2, that would put us at 24-25.
But if we could go like 3-1-1.
Yeah.
Could be a push in there.
Yeah, we need a 2-game separation. So
yeah. So that could do it too. So there's a couple ways we can do it, but we're right on the doorstep. So keep knocking.
I mean, you gotta I'm sure that there's like some sharp guys in this contest, and there's probably guys at the top that have multiple entries that are also doing well. They're probably just submitting the same picks, but I feel like if you're over 500, you got to be like within striking distance at all times, right? I mean, if we're doing like a top 100, I feel like if you can get more towards like, that 50%, and then all of a sudden you creep a little bit more towards 55, how far out of it can you really be? I mean, I'm sure there were some guys hitting at like 70% or something, but yeah, I mean, I feel like as long as you're on the right side of 500, you're just like a good run away from really being in it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, fuck yeah.
Let's
5-0.
do it.
5-0.
All righty.
All right, sounds good.
All right, later.